Get Gutsy episode number 173 with Stacy Theodossin on Serve More People. Welcome to Get Gutsy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. A cutting-edge show blending business and spirituality, Get Gutsy serves up a potent blend of stories, lessons, and tips to help you make a massive impact in the world through your soul's work and your inspired life. No more going it alone, no more excuses. The world needs more brave women saying yes to leadership. Are you with me? Good. Let's get gutsy now. Hey, Jenny here. You are in the world of Get Gutsy. Are you excited? I'm so excited. It's Gutsy Coach Week. If you've been a long-time subscriber, you'd be like, Jenny is blowing it up with these episodes this week, and it's on purpose. It is Gutsy Coach Week, December of 2018. We are celebrating this glorious path of coaching. I am sharing lots of coaches with you, different stories, different perspectives, how all of us got to where we are. And today is no exception because we have some awesome stuff for you, don't we? Yes, we do. Why is it Gutsy Coach Week? Well, first off, I love coaching. And also, we are in our glorious enrollment period for my coach certification program. It's called Get Gutsy Coach Training School. We only enroll a few times a year, and typically around 2 times a year. And we're in that period of time right now. And so my job is to shout this from the rooftops. It is to share this message in whatever way I can, partner with the universe, partner with all these amazing souls who are willing to share their voices and stories on my podcast. And we're doing that. We are about to be closing our doors for our January 2018 class of coaching superstars. And I want you to come check it out, coachtrainingschool.com. When you do, you're going to be probably equally excited and totally terrified. And that's good. That tells you that you're on the right track. Step forward if you feel called. And when you do, I will then review your application and ensure that it is a right fit, that you're a right fit for our school, that our school is a right fit for you. If it is, you're coming in and we will be celebrating you every step of the way. CoachTrainingSchool.com. So let me tell you about this episode. We've got Stacy Theodossin for you today. Oh my, this woman, she has so much wisdom and experience to share. And she is a doctor of Ayurveda. Yes, if you don't know about Ayurveda, you got to check that out. It is a wonderful science, a form of medicine that originated in India. And you may not know, but I went to India this year in 2017. I went in May of this year and studied with a master of Ayurveda. We stayed in an Ayurveda retreat center. Oh my God, it was so rad. And it's so great to have Stacy on because this is her thing. And we talk about how, a practitioner of Ayurveda or some other type of healer, therapist, or health practitioner, how they can benefit from learning how to be a coach. Because this is like a very important topic, really, because coaching is such a fantastic skill set and energy to click into something else that you're doing now to take all of your sacred work to a completely new stratosphere. When you hear from Stacy, you're going to hear that she went from an automotive engineer to a goddess healer. It was like quite a shift. And her work today is a living representation of her life's journey. Her story takes her from a barefoot small town kid giving out advice in her tree fort through rough family challenges, years of physically suffering as a patient, and a life-changing discovery that shapes her powerful work today. She is a graduate of Get Gutsy Coach Training School, a proud graduate. She talks about why she joined our school and how it's helping her expand her business globally. I am so pumped to have Stacy here on Get Gutsy and as part of Gutsy Coach Week. And I want you to enjoy this episode where we are celebrating this idea, serving more people. Enjoy. Hey, Stacy, so pumped to have you here on Get Gutsy today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jenny. I'm excited to be here too.
Yeah, and I know what you're dealing with right now. You have a heating/cold situation going on. So y'all, everybody, Stacy, where do you live again? Is it Michigan?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Michigan, and it got super cold, and her heat is not cooperating. So we're going to give Stacy a lot of love, as she is so committed to our mission that she's showing up and rolling with it. So Stacy, y'all, for everybody listening in, she was one of our top graduates of Get Gutsy Coach Training School, and so I've invited several of them to be on the show as we are really shining a light on the power of coaching and celebrating this glorious path. And before we get into, why coaching and how she found her path and everything like that, what I'm starting to do with my guest, because I'm really just curious and this is what I like to talk about, is to dive first into where we started as kids. We all started as kids. We were children. Stacy has kids. I have kids. So I'm reminded every day, yeah, this is where we begin. And so let's go back to your childhood, Stacy. And where did you grow up? Was it in Michigan or someplace else?
Well, I kind of did a little moving around when I was a kid, and I started in Ohio, the only person in my family born in Ohio. My mom was pregnant with me when we moved, and then they came back to Michigan when I was about 3, and I lived in Michigan till I was 12, and then we moved out to Southern California, and I lived out there for a while, and then I ended up back in Michigan again later on. I've been back here for 25 years, came back in 1992.
Wow. Okay, cool. See, these are the things that I really like diving into. So what was the most amazing experience that you had from childhood? Was there like a particular thing that happened, or, a particular place that you're like, oh, I just loved when I was living this one place because whatever? I want to understand better that time in your life.
I grew up in a really, really small town. And one of my favorite things to do, there was a river across the street from our house. And we used to just like pack up all our gear and our canteens and our stuff. And we would go on like explorations, like around where we lived. So one of my favorite things was just going to the Franklin River in the little town I grew up in. And we would go hike out in the woods. And I guess I was earthing even back then, I liked to hike around barefoot outside. We used to collect Indian arrowheads and look for signs of life from like long ago. And the town I grew up in was a historical town, and I lived in a historical house with all kinds of little crazy weird rooms in it and all that stuff. So it was kind of
awesome.
It was a neat place to grow up, and we had an awesome tree fort. That was another place that I loved spending time. And it was funny because even back then, like I would want to be in charge of things, and we'd go up and even when I was a kid, everybody would want to come and tell me their problems in the treehouse, like Lucy with the nickel, and our treehouse was like on stilts up in the trees. Our dad helped us build it. It was sunk with cement, and we had like rope ladders, and we'd wheel them back up. So when someone was in there for their little session, like nobody else could come in. So even back then.
MG. So you were coaching, doing your whole thing in the treehouse back in the day. And so this is why I'm following my curiosity and like, I want to start there because there's something to it. So the earthy, you were barefoot, like you're really just, in nature. And I know that
ever since I was a kid, I always walked barefoot. I even went hiking through the Canadian Rockies barefoot.
Oh, yes. Barefoot. Okay. So let's then take a different lens here. Tell me about the most challenging piece of your childhood.
Well, I had mentioned that we moved out to California when I was 12, and we moved in the middle of 6th grade. So I had gone to the same school from kindergarten all the way through the middle of 6th grade. And we moved to California 1 week before my 12th birthday. And within 6 months, my parents were separated and living apart. And that's kind of where a lot of the moving came in. So that was a really hard time in life. My parents had been married for over 20 years. I was the youngest kid. And so then I moved back to Michigan, and then I was back in California, and then I kind of did a lot of going between the parents and all that. So
Thank you for sharing that. It's interesting. You and I have some kind of connection through that because I didn't move in the middle of 6th grade. I moved the summer before 6th grade from Georgia to Florida, also due to, my parents weren't together at all at that point. And so my dad stayed in Georgia, and my mother had remarried a man who lived in Florida. And so she moved my sister and I to Florida right before 6th grade for me. And yes, that's hard.
It's kind of a critical time in a kid's development and all that. So that was a hard time because I moved a lot, for that.
Moved a lot.
I was at one school, like I said, kindergarten through 6th grade, went to another school, half of 6th grade, started at junior high for 7th grade, moved back to Michigan, went to a different junior high for 8th grade, then started high school at a different school in 9th grade, and then moved back to California in 10th grade.
Wow.
So it was a lot of.
What did all that moving teach you? What did all that kind of, I know it wasn't easy going through it, but looking now going, what did you get from that? What were the lessons?
I guess that, a lot of times people think that if they're not happy about something, that like going to a new location will change their feelings. And I think it became really apparent to me at a young age that like, no matter what's going on with you, you take all of that with you to all the locations that you go. Mm-hmm. So, but also that just, I didn't have control over all the moving around because I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So I guess learning like what you have control over. So putting your worry, I guess, if it will, into things that you actually have control over. So, I've always been a big reader, and I think that I did even more reading during those times. Do you know what I mean? Just because I had my own inner world going on and just kind of tuning out what was going on with the adults outside.
Absolutely. Everything that you just said, I'm like 100% in alignment with. You absolutely nailed it. Like one of the pieces that you said, wherever you go, you're going to bring your stuff. It's the John Cabot Zen book, wherever you go, there you are. And when you're as a kid and you're seeing these things happening with adults, even though we're kids, we still know some things. And then we bring that with us, and it informs everything that we do as a result. So, wow. Thanks for sharing. That was beautiful. So how did you discover what you were meant to do with your work? I mean, and just give us a lens now, exactly what you're doing now. Obviously coaching is a piece, but you have all this stuff, all these tools in your toolkit. So give us a little sense of what your work looks like, and how did you figure out this was your work to do?
Good question. So I've been doing the work that I do now in pretty much the way I do it for the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. I'm in Ayurvedic medicine. So all the different pieces that make up that complete holistic medical system are things like use of essential oils, use of holistic seasonal nutrition, use of herbs, knowing what your dosha is, knowing how the best self-care practices for your body, incorporating yoga, incorporating detoxification and purification, doing hands-on healing sessions. All of these things combined together make the holistic system of Ayurvedic medicine. Now, you do hear about a lot of these things like the meditation piece, the yoga piece, and things like that, and people pull that out and they do those things separately. But again, when you see an Ayurvedic practitioner or an Ayurvedic doctor like myself, we put all of these things back together for you and make that into a complete system of how to care for your body, your mind, and your spirit. So we hear that trilogy all the time. That trilogy actually comes from Ayurveda, which has been in continual use for close to 6,000 years. So it's the oldest, most complete holistic medical system in the world. So there are parts of and pieces that people like to use, but we put together the whole system.
Which I love. So how did you find it? Like, how did you find Ayurveda? You've been practicing this, 20 years. Some people, they're just hearing about it for the first time right now. I know about it because I discovered yoga. Gosh, I've been a practitioner now for 16 years. And that's when I started getting turned on to all this beautiful wisdom that's available. But how did you figure it out? How did you find your path into this?
I actually came to Ayurveda as a patient when I was in my early 20s, and I'd had a lot of health issues that I kept going to the traditional doctors because that's what I knew. And I would go to the doctor and they would tell me, well, you're very anemic. And I would say, well, yes, because I bleed every day. Why am I bleeding? So after 2 years of continually going to doctors and getting no treatment, I was told to have a hysterectomy before even the age of 25. Wow. As a solution. And even at that age, I said, to me, that sounds like if I told you I had a migraine headache, you would tell me to decapitate myself and the problem would be gone.
Right.
If I'm having a uterine issue with tumors and I'm bleeding and we remove my uterus, yes, I'll stop bleeding, but it didn't actually solve any problem. Right. And now, you can't have kids if you want to. So that didn't seem very comfortable to me. My insides were telling me, this doesn't sound right. So I just kept asking people, what else do you know about? And somebody came to me, strangely enough, because my dad, I wouldn't consider him to be a very holistic type person or metaphysical, but he was very concerned about my health. And I was, not living near him. He lives in Nevada. And he said to me, your stepmom knows a person who's a holistic doctor. And I explained to him what was going on with you. And he said that he thought he could help you. And could I come to Nevada and see him every single day for a week?
Wow.
And I said, sure, because for 2 years, nothing I did worked, right?
Right.
So I flew out to Nevada, saw Dr. Kruger, and it was life-changing. So I met with him, and I got one of my cats
Your
here.
kitty's cool.
Yeah.
They're welcome. He's welcome, or she's welcome.
Yeah, this is Dixie. We got the other one, the old guy. He's up there sleeping. So I went to see Dr. Kruger, and as I mentioned, I bled every single day for 2 years.
Wow.
So I went to see Dr. and I had severe abdominal pain. It took all my energy to get up and go to work and school and to just get through life. I did not feel well at all. So anyhow, I went and saw Dr. Kruger. After the very first day I went to see him, and he was doing all this stuff, mumbo jumbo. I was like, what the heck? But that day I left. First time in 2 years I didn't have severe abdominal pain. And by the next morning, the bleeding had stopped.
Whoa.
And then he told me, we're going to just change everything. So he told me to read a book, The McDougall Plan, which was another life changer. And it was all about, and transition to vegetarianism. And that plan took out sugar, flour, alcohol, red meat, like all the stuff that was causing issues. And this is where I found out that I had food sensitivities. The hormones that were in foods were bothering me, and that was causing issues. So with the uterine tumors and all that. So I came to Ayurveda first as a patient and couldn't understand how it all worked, but it did. So a short time later, I had an opportunity. I was already out of school. I was already working in my career, which was in the engineering field.
Wow.
And I was working in the automotive industry. That's why I came back here to the Detroit area. Wow. And so I, had an opportunity to study, and I really just wanted to study it so I could understand better what I went through. I had no intention of changing my career. I just wanted to understand what was going on. So that's how I came to the study of Ayurveda. And next thing you know, I was hooked. Didn't like the rat race I was in, so it made it pretty easy.
Oh my gosh. And so this is what you do for your people, your patients, like the ones who are in deep pain, body is not cooperating, and you're teaching them how to kind of redesign the way that they live.
Well, in Ayurveda, you make a good point, because yes, there are people who come to me because of their physical health. Their physical body is what's causing an issue right now. And I spent 18 and a half years working with cancer patients at a local cancer treatment hospital. They contracted my business in to provide service to these patients. And we did do a lot because, of course, those people are having a lot of physical issues. But I really like to even meet people before they have the physical manifestation of what's going on inside. So Ayurveda teaches us how to care for ourselves, body, mind, and spirit, so that we don't have disease and dis-ease in our bodies, and that we don't have disease in our social life, in our spiritual life. So there's so many ways to approach Ayurveda. So a lot of people do come because of physical issues. Sometimes people just say, I feel off, my energy feels off,
Right.
Sometimes they just say there's something missing and I don't know what it is. And so they'll come in, and then we look at what their goals are and so on. So again, Ayurveda can help the physical body, but it can help the spiritual bodies, the mental bodies, and so on.
Totally. And so was that what piqued your interest in layering in the tool and the pathway of coaching into the work you're doing with Ayurveda, because it allowed you to kind of communicate the value of Ayurveda in ways that maybe you, because I can see, because there's just like a lack of information about this type of work. So just tell me more about what made you want to become a coach.
Well, it's a very good question, because I guess in some manner of speaking, I have been coaching all the way along.
Yes. Yes.
So I guess I just thought it was a good time to make it official and really learn about that industry.
Right.
Prior to signing up for GET GUTSY Coach Training School, I knew exactly one person who had been a coach. I still know her. She's still a client of mine, actually. She used to live here in Michigan. And I guess it was more than 15 years ago. She decided to reinvent her life. She was an engineer here in Michigan. She had gone through a divorce. And she decided to become a life coach, and she moved to Arizona. And I'm still in contact with her, and she's doing really well. But I had no idea what a coach was until I, heard about that. And it's so powerful, and you're able to help people in such a different way. And really, you're talking about the lack of information on Ayurveda and other holistic things. And it's so much better now, Jenny, than it was 20 years ago when I started. We didn't even have the internet back then, so I couldn't even, you could maybe write an email.
Like a pamphlet.
So we didn't have all the stuff. You're right. I had brochures, I had cards, brick and mortar business, people come in. And yes, we could talk on the phone, but we couldn't do video calls and all that. So now that we have all this technology, and thank you for all the training, I've gotten a lot more comfortable, Jenny, with all the training, with all the resources and so on. And so even people that I have seen locally, I have had people for years that have traveled, 3 hours or more to come to have a session with me.
Wow.
And, they have to, they come over the border from Canada. They come from all over Michigan, Ohio, Chicago, all over the place. People drive several hours because in the Midwest, there isn't a lot of people that do this type of work. And there are some, but not a whole lot. And so people come from all over. Well, guess what? When we have our follow-up calls, they still want to have, like we're doing now, and be able to have a conversation. And so they love the video too. And it's a great way to meet new people and bring them in. And really my website and everything, when people enter the website, I want them to get that same feeling that they get when they enter my private practice, which is like peaceful, it's calming, all the colors, the sounds that you hear, the feeling that you get, it's just a really nice energy. And so when I was designing the website, even I said, I want people to have that same experience. I don't want to let that part of it go, but I want to serve more people. There's so many people in these little places throughout the world that would love access and information, and they don't necessarily have a way to get to a practitioner or somebody that can help them. I was very fortunate. I was able to travel to Nevada to go see somebody. There was nobody in my area at the time.
Exactly. And so now that you have more tools and you understand how you can do video calls or just to develop a relationship, not necessarily in person, is that something that going and, officially training to become a coach, although yes, you have been doing that the whole ride, is that something that coaching experience that you got in Get Gutsy Coach Training School helped you be able to do?
Absolutely. I can't say enough that if anybody is considering a career in coaching, not to just hang out your shingle, but to actually get some kind of training and guidance, it'll probably save them a lot of heartache, I would imagine, as well, because like you mentioned, I've been in business long enough to know where I need help. And technology hasn't been one of my things really because, I'm 48 years old. We didn't have computers when I was growing up. Anything that I've learned since I've been out of school. I did, computer programming when I was in college, and it was very, antiquated what compared to what we have now. So it just really makes you a lot more comfortable. Like one of the invaluable things too, I think, is the contracts that you have. To really help people. Anybody. Like, again, I have a lot of business experience before I came to the coaching program, but a lot of people have a job and they think that they know how to run a business. And you really could use some help with that, I think, most people.
Thank you for saying that. And that's what I saw when I was, when I realized that there was a need in the market, and I stopped waiting for somebody else to fill it. I was like, oh, wait, I can do that. I can fill it. I realized that there's so many people who are, good coaches or could be good coaches, but they really lacked that business experience. And like you said, it's different even working in a business setting versus running your own business, making decisions
very different
about insurance, contracts, agreements, technology that you need, hiring team. These are things that you never really needed to think about before. And when it's your name on the business, when it's your money at stake, I mean, that's really a lot of what it boils down to. It's like, it's all on you. And I'm so happy that, we have this community at Get Gutsy Coach Training School where we can talk about all these things that need to be discussed, and that the women who are coming in are at all different levels in their journey. And we can all be honest about, like, here's what you need to know. Here's what, has held me back. Here's what's been really helpful. Oh my gosh, I love it. And so what would you say to somebody who's, considering taking this step, knows that they're meant for something great, or maybe has a brick and mortar operation like you, or maybe is into yoga or wellness and wants to touch more lives, but is a little unsure about, if they have what it takes to become a coach, what would you say about the experience of Get Gutsy Coach Training School?
One of my favorite parts about the training program was doing the coaching with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so the person that I coached continued on with me after the fact. So that worked out really nicely. But it lets you test out things and get feedback in a way that doesn't cost you financially, I guess, at that point, right? Because you're not ruining any business that you have, because you're preparing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was super duper helpful. And like I said, just you have experience in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So you've gone through the trial and error,
Ain't that the truth?
model of business. Like anybody who's been in business, you learn what works and what doesn't work. So that's, people ask you for advice because you've been there.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful to have that, but then have so many talented people from all different industries. Just the whole experience was really awesome. And again, the education part of it and being able to try out your skills before you open the doors on a business, or if you have a business, how to improve that and reopen and really feel confident, because it's much easier to hire somebody to coach you if you really feel like they're confident in what they're doing.
Boom. Confidence sells. Confidence
absolutely.
Sells. And what we're teaching is not fake confidence. It's aligned confidence. The process.
Yeah, because you test it out. So, what could be better? You actually have some experience coaching somebody. And I don't mean for 5 minutes. I mean for months, for like several months.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Thank you. You said that so beautifully. So, Stacy, how can people find you online?
Well, they can find me on www.healinggoddess.com. That is my website. And again, it's like my online version of my office. You're going to step in and find all kinds of interesting things. I like to provide a lot of information. I enjoy writing, as you know, because I've been in some of your writing challenges along the way.
Yes.
So I have all kinds of informative articles about Ayurveda, information on how to contact me, what programs are available, and all that good stuff. And people can start small if that's their preference, but we have everything from you have just an initial consultation to maybe a hands-on healing session in person. I even do some distance healing with energy work and so on. That's an option. I do private yoga practices for people, which we do on video. So if people are healing from injuries or things like that, maybe they don't want to go to a studio, maybe they'd like to get their skills up on their own before they go in front of people. So there are so many resources available on there. I also have a couple of different Facebook groups. One of them is called Healing Goddesses, and the other one is Gorgeous Goddesses. Healing Goddesses focuses more on different healing modalities, and we have different people sharing. A lot of different healers that I know in all different disciplines come into that group and share. And then I have Gorgeous Goddesses, which is more about holistic healthcare products. So especially like beauty and skincare products that are non-toxic, all natural. If people want information on that, they can go in that group.
Cool.
And I also have Healing Goddesses Book Club. And that's another group, Facebook group. And people come in and we read metaphysical books. We read one book every season. So 4 books per year. So for people who want to be in a book club and discuss these types of subjects, without a lot of commitment for all the mamas out there and all the people who have a lot of work going on. So
totally. All right, y'all. We will have links to all these on our show notes page. You can go to jennyfennig.com and type in the name of this episode or Stacy, and you will find the link to this episode. All right, Stacy, the finale question for you. What is the gutsiest move you've ever made, and how does it inspire your life and work today?
Well, I'm going to say it's the gutsiest move I've made so far. And that was definitely quitting my my job in the automotive industry. It was a very, very lucrative position with all the bells and whistles and the company car and all that stuff. And I got to do all kinds of travel worldwide, but I just didn't like the rat race. And I felt called to provide healing for people. And so that's definitely the biggest move so far, because everybody I know is like, who does that, right? Who
does.
I do. So
Stacy does.
Yeah, especially, after years of preparing with education and all that.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to go back even with the question that you asked about the training. I truly believe that nothing you learn is ever wasted.
Absolutely.
So whether or not you ever decide to become a coach, you will learn and grow from being in the program.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm still going back to the bullshit and tolerations list. Once I cleared out my thing, I just put more on.
You're like,
I just keep doing new ones, right?
There's some new ones now.
So I've gone back multiple times. Our training program ended months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Months ago. And I have gone back multiple times.
Yes. Well, I love your gutsy move. I made a similar gutsy move. Gosh, 10 years ago, it's my anniversary. By the time this goes live, it will have been 10 years ago when I quit my last job. And it was like, who does that? And I didn't even know what I was going to do next, but I was like, this ain't it. And so I got to jump. And you have to be willing to have people think that you're crazy, because the world gets improved and shifted in a positive way because of the crazy people with love in our hearts, that we say, you know what, I'm not going to do this rat race. I'm not going to just keep going through the motions because people say I'm supposed to. And like you said, every piece of education, every hard fought lesson learned is all fuel for the journey. And so
absolutely,
I salute you. I thank you for being here. Everybody, I know that you got so much value from this. Make sure that you just love this episode up, share it with your friends. I know that there are so many people who need to hear this. And Stacy, it was a pleasure having you in Get Gutsy.
Thank you, Jenny.
I'm proud to have you as one of our graduates. Everybody, go check out Coach Training School. If we're not open for enrollment yet, you can hop on our wait list, coachtrainingschool.com. This is Jenny Fennig sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Get Gutsy with Jenny Fennig. Gutsy leaders unite and ignite.